Hello, everybody. I'd like to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the Transgender Center of the Rockies, a program of Mile High Behavioral Healthcare. They are this season's Authenticity Ambassador, and we thank them for their support. I would also like to thank James Gaumer with Incite to Massage for being this episode's Authenticity Advocate. Thank you so much for your support. Check them out at incitetomassage.clinicsense.com. Welcome to Being You, an SPH Productions presentation. My name is Shane Hodges, licensed professional counselor and author of It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. My guest today is Evan Rauen, founder of Knightfall Wealth Collective. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I like to start my show with a rapid fire Q&A. Get 60 seconds. I'm going to ask you as many quick answer questions as I can and see how many we get through.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
How many siblings do you have?
1.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Have you ever gone skinny dipping?
Yes.
A sport you like to play?
Well, fishing, really. Fly fishing.
Prized possession?
Collectibles. Batman.
Best Batman villain?
Joker. Best villain globally, period.
Which Joker?
Favorite Joker, well, it's probably Nicholson because of 89, but also Heath Ledger always gets a mention because that
Yeah.
was incredible.
Yeah. Would you want to be famous?
No.
Can you change your own oil?
Yes.
Favorite cartoon as a kid?
Oh, Batman animated series.
Outdoor activity you enjoy?
Again, running, fly fishing, both.
Dream vacation destination?
Anything tropical.
Okay. Last concert you saw?
Uh, Big Gigantic at Red Rocks.
Do you scare easily?
No, I do not.
And lastly, would you climb Mount Everest?
Yes.
Well, we got through quite a few. Let's see, 14. One of the highest numbers we've had so far. So, congrats. All right. Well, let's get to know a little bit more about what you do. Founder of Knightfall Wealth Collective.
Yep.
Give us a little information on what that is.
We're a comprehensive financial planning firm, largely working with business owners. We plan for every life stage from startup all the way through exit. A lot of personal clients as well. Foundational focus is just to do the most good, greater impact in the world. Big thing for me, my dad's a chef, and I grew up in his kitchens. He worked 50 years in culinary. He did not have a lot of advice or help that he could have used. So I never wanted those people to be forgotten. So most of our clients are in that same vein. There are a lot of restaurateurs, a lot of people in plumbing, HVAC, electrician, what have you. That's where I spend a lot of my time. We also do quite a bit of special needs planning. And then we have different focuses depending on which member of the team.
So, in terms of founding this collective, how did that come about?
Yeah, so I built my practice, and then I started to notice that somebody has to want to drive the ship. Somebody has to want to do all the political side, handle all the conversations,
Right.
whatever else, which I love and enjoy, and others do not. So we started to figure out that there were these people who are incredibly good at doing the work, but they just didn't want to handle those mechanical pieces and whatever else. And so we built the collective on the principle of collectively, it works better for all of us, and I still get to do what I want to do.
Nice. How many people are on your team?
Right now, there are 10, and we support another 6 exterior to that as well.
Well, you talked about your dad and you talked about certain aspects of passions that you have in terms of different populations you work with. What do you enjoy most about the field or the work that you do?
I'm the first call for all the really great things, and I'm the first call for a lot of really hard things. And being there for people in that capacity, it's really it's greater impact, but it's also really enriching to my existence to know that we did things that truly mattered and mattered for generations.
How old were you when you realized this is what you wanted to do?
30. I mean, some days I still want to be Batman, if we're being honest, but early 30s, 33.
Was this what your education was in?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So what was your education
I
first of all?
primarily studied philosophy and world religion.
Wow, okay. So then what was it that made the switch to go into this field?
Well, I think if you study certain topics, you realize that if you'd ever like to buy things and have money, you probably aren't staying in that field. I worked a decade in corporate America, and I realized it was one path. It just was not a path that I felt very good about.
Same.
And I took a lot of that knowledge and said, okay, first thing, I won't travel, right? I'm not going to read stories by FaceTime. That's not why I became a dad. Second of all, I have no interest in just climbing a ladder to climb the ladder. Like I want to
Mm,
determine my own success. And so this was a field that I could do that in. The more I immersed myself in it, the more I realized the greater impact. And I think it's truly a noble profession.
I have a question about the word success. What is success to you?
I think it is being able to do what you want, how you want, with whom you want, for as long
Hmm.
as you want. I think that's really what I would focus on. And so to me, we focus way too much in America on monetary success
Hmm.
and nowhere near enough on foundational faith success or
Hmm.
family success. And so for me, it's always going to come back to family success, my daughter, my wife, how are we doing as a family? Because if you screw that up, nothing else matters.
So, how do you determine then what is best for your clients?
First of all, operating fiduciary all of the time, we do not make a decision that we are ever going to have to apologize for in 10 years. We don't ever want to sit down and say, hey, we screwed this up.
Interesting.
Second factor of that, fiduciary literally means legally we have an obligation, but we also do it from a standpoint of what is the best possible outcome we can create with the least amount of risk.
So, when can I stop working?
Let's be clear, you're never going to stop completely. It will be working differently.
Right. Fine.
That's a personality thing, not the same
Absolutely.
issue.
I understand. I used to think I would never retire because I didn't think I'd be able to afford it and I would die young. And then I got to the point where I'm like, oh, I think I've reached what I now see as success and I should want to retire early. And now I'm like, okay, it's not about retiring early, it's about what it looks like moving forward. Because again, for me and success, it's about freedom. It's that freedom to do, like you said, what you want when you want.
100%.
Well, what are the biggest challenges you have or do face with your clients?
I think it's fascinating how getting people to do something that's not in their best interest is actually quite simple, right? You can see people all
Wow,
day
okay.
doing drugs, buying things they can't afford, buying cars, buying motorcycles, which is a very good chance you're going to have a problem with. But getting people to do what's in their own best interest is actually incredibly challenging, right? I mean, that's your
Mm-hmm.
profession too,
Yeah,
right? Like you can
yeah,
see it clear as day and they just want to do the wrong thing sometimes.
yeah.
So I would say that's what becomes most challenging most of the time.
Moving forward, what, if any, professional goals do you still have?
I want to build the collective as large as I can, sustain as many positive relationships as we possibly can, and impact as many people as we can. My daughter and I talk frequently about the Iroquois seven generation principle, which is
Okay.
trying to impact seven generations into the future. Now, you're never going to meet
Wow.
the seventh generation. Most
Hmm.
of us, honestly, probably aren't going to meet four or
Right,
five.
right.
But having that mindset and creating a legacy that contributes to that is highly interesting to me.
I like that you brought up your daughter, and I would say that the topic you just mentioned is a rather in-depth conversation. How old's your daughter?
My daughter is 13. We knew she was exceptional very early on. We have what we call hot tub philosophy time, and we'll sit in the hot tub and she wants to ask big questions.
Okay.
And I think she was 5 the first time she asked, Dad, I need you to explain abortion to me. I want to understand more about the Holocaust and I want to talk about Anne Frank. So I
Oh.
knew we were
Hmm.
going to have a very different dialogue, and we've been very big on showing her the world, not just telling her about the world
Mm,
through travel, through experience.
hmm.
Even when some people question why we're doing that way, I've chosen not to hide the world from her because I want her to understand. I also recognize she's grown up very fortunate and she
Hmm.
hasn't had a lot of the hardships herself. So she needs to understand what
Gotcha.
those look like.
Gotcha. How do you go about, as a parent of someone who has certain privileges or a certain type of life, how do you show her a different type?
I started injecting adversity in different ways.
Mm.
I've talked about this extensively. She and I started talking. We did daddy daughter adventures. So essentially, I took off her kindergarten year. Every day of school she had off, I took off with her. And we would do daddy daughter
Nice.
adventures. And then when she got to be about 6, a little before she turned 7, we started talking about quests. And so a quest is something that you can't buy your way into. Like
Mm-hmm.
it takes time, seeing all 50 states,
Mm-hmm.
visiting all 63 national parks, right? So we started talking. I said, Kaylin, if you come up with a quest, I'm off 4th of July week. We'll do the quest. You just tell me what it is.
Okay.
She came to me and she said, Dad, I want to go down 100 slides in one day. I said, okay. And it was incredibly challenging. And the preamble to it, and I have all this documented. We have pictures of every slide. We have a video of her talking about before and after. And they said, Kaylin, this is going to get challenging. At some point, you're going to want to quit. And what I want you to know is when you say that, I'm not going to let you quit. We are going to do 10 more. And if you still want to quit, we'll have a different conversation. I said, conversely, there's going to come a point where I'm going to want to quit. I'm dad, I'm in charge, and I can make that happen. So you're going to have the conversation with me of, hey, dad, we're going to keep going. And both those did happen. And we achieved it. We did 101 unique slides in one day. And the truly crazy thing is I went down all of them with her, which as an adult human, we don't fit quite the same way we do with our children.
Don't.
And so to this day, we still go back to that as a foundational, like, you can do hard things. And so I've tried to continue that. And the thing I would add is we always have very candid dialogue. We don't hide any topics. We just simply talk about, I see this and I don't understand it. Can you help me make sense of it?
So, what has been one of the most challenging topics or conversations to do that with?
We have a very large addiction history in my family, and we've had to be very open and honest
Okay.
about that always.
Yeah.
So I've been sober going on 12 years. My father's been sober 8. And that's been a dialogue since the very beginning. And it's something a lot of people hide from, but I didn't feel I was doing her any service if I didn't explain why.
Yeah. Yeah. I applaud you for that. That is a very difficult conversation to have, particularly the acknowledgement that it exists, especially if you yourself have struggled with it. Well, we've already moved into the personal realm, so let's keep going. Let's start with the obvious, and you can only see a glimmer from this shot. Holy Batcave. What's going on with all of the Batman stuff?
So I started watching Batman like reruns in the 80s of the 66 show and was deeply obsessed with it. Then I was 7 when 1989 Batman came out. Sometimes with a 7-year-old, something sticks. Like that becomes their thing and it just never goes away. That was me, 100%. And it was always tied to me. And then as I got older, I collected figures and then I collected more figures. And then we got into the superhero era where everything is just an awesome version of the stuff we grew up with.
Right.
So currently there's over 800 Batman in this office, and there's more in my other office. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
Spans 7 decades now. And stuff in
So,
here going back to the 60s.
do you have a favorite piece?
Technically, I do. He's up on that shelf. It's actually, ironically, it's the worst Batman movie. It's the Clooney sculpt, but it was retooled for a Justice League series later.
Okay.
And it's my favorite because it's been with me everywhere I've ever lived, going back to when I was 17. As a matter of fact, I had to convince my father in the early days of the internet to give me his credit card so I could order it. It was in my childhood bedroom, and then it traveled with me when I lived in England. It lived everywhere I did. It's been on every desk I've ever owned. And so that guy kind of has a special place.
I can imagine. And how does your wife feel about all of it?
She's pretty understanding of it. She does collect Ariel, Little Mermaid.
Okay, so
So,
she also has her
yes,
own
there's
thing.
just less of Ariel, but she's pretty good with it. We have had an ongoing debate about how much Batman can leak into every corner of our lives as opposed to just my spaces, but
Well, how much does it ooze into other areas and
quite a
spaces?
bit. We have a Gotham Christmas Lego village downstairs where all
Right,
the
yeah.
Lego lives, and I've been Batman for I think I have 5 Batman costumes right now, so it
Okay.
comes out quite a
Okay.
bit.
Okay. And remind me, your car, is it license plate or you have a symbol? What's on
Oh
your car?
yes, I have the Bat logo on the hood. I have bats up the side. I have the custom plates. I have
Okay. Okay.
everything tied to
So
Batman.
just a slight obsession. All right.
Minor.
Outside of building the collection, how do you spend your free time?
A lot of running. I'm a very avid runner. A lot of fly fishing. I really enjoy time in nature, just exploration and travel in general.
Favorite travel locations?
Anywhere I can fish, anywhere tropical. I love getting out of the climate here in Denver and going somewhere
Hmm.
that's totally different. And I run everywhere I am.
Well,
Big
let's
picture.
go to the running. If I'm correct, you are currently on a 1,000-day challenge, correct?
This is the second version of this too. So the first time I did it for 1,469 consecutive days of running. This
Oh
one
my God.
is pushing 850, working towards 1,000 again. I'm also training for ultra distances, so 100-mile races, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm best, turns out, when I do things habitually, which tracks with every part of this conversation. And for me, it's much easier to just do something all the time. And so
Okay.
I get up, I have a very regimented morning. I start with water because that's healthy. Then I do my gratitudes, do my journal, do yoga, and then run every
Okay.
morning of my life for almost 7 years.
How did it start?
I got really sick of my own excuses for not working out. I love working out. I was always avid. I played four sports in high school, and I got to a point in career where I just wasn't going. And I didn't like
Mm,
going to the gym at 4:30 in the morning and missing when my daughter got up
yeah.
because that was the best time of the day.
Mm,
So I had a debate with myself one day. I said, look, what is it to go run a mile? How hard can it possibly be? Knock out a mile. It's what, 20 minutes all in with hopefully the mile doesn't take that long. And the first mile was slow. So I did that. Traditionally, I jump too far into whatever I'm doing. Like I go overboard and then I
yeah.
break myself and then I have to start a new plan. So I was like, let's just run 10 days in a row. I've never done any of my sports 10 days in a row. Can we run 10 days in a row? So I ran 10. I got to 10. I'm like, I think I can do 100. So as I got closer to 100, I started reading about how rare is it to do a year.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a year. And I started getting better and better at it. And as I got midway through that year, somebody's like, has anybody ever done an outdoor year? And I'm like, I'm sure someone has, but now shit, I'm going to have to do that. So I just kept going. And the first streak ended not by choice. That was because I was hospitalized for something unrelated to running.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then after that, actually, the day I got out, I ran. Then when my dog got old enough to start running him, I started running a streak again. And I got to 100, 200 days. And I went, wow, now we do this again. And so we're on the next trek of 1,000.
All right. And you touched on this. At this point, is it always outdoor running?
I always do at least a mile outdoors. If I'm on the training, I will do some treadmill in the winter because it's very hard to do aggressive training or
Yeah.
speed work outside in the snow, but always at least a mile outdoors.
Okay. And you mentioned something, if I heard correctly, about distance. Are you trying to do longer distances? Is there a
Yep.
certain amount you want to do?
Yeah, I'm going to do a 100 miler. We're going to get there. So I'm building to that distance. Along the way, I'll also knock out a bunch of the other distances,
Uh-huh.
50K, 50 miler, what have you. But it became fascinating to me last year. This last year's all been about speed. I'm the fastest I've ever been in my life at 43, which is kind of wild. But now it's going to be distance.
Gotcha. What is your fastest mile?
456.
Okay. That's very fast. Okay. Outside or on treadmill?
No, yeah, that was indoor.
Whew, all right, that's a lot. Well, you do you. I will not be doing that. I will live vicariously through you. So, at this point in your life, what do you think you would have to say to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, grace. Just have some grace for yourself. Go easy. It's funny. I was in such a hurry to grow up. I thought
Mm,
adulthood was going to be so great, and I was so wrong in so many ways. If I could go back and have a chat with 18-year-old Evan, I would have tried to give some context of the things that were coming. But the biggest thing would be just take it easier on yourself.
you mentioned bringing up grace with your 18-year-old self. What have you learned about yourself and or who you really are?
I think I've learned that there was no comparative terms that were going to be helpful because I'm not built like anyone else. I'm just
Mm,
so profoundly different in the way I approach things, my desire to stick with things, my ability, my stamina. Those are not comparative.
mm-hmm,
And I would say I've learned also a lot about brain type. I don't have the patience for some things, and
mm,
that's okay. And I used to just be so mad. Like, why can other people focus? I'm like, I don't focus well ever. Okay. Like,
yeah,
I am
yeah,
only capable of very brief moments. And I actually focus better when I'm doing multiple things, which
mm-hmm,
is contrary to every piece of advice you'd ever
yeah,
get. But I
yeah,
can take really great notes as long as I can draw at the same time, which I got in trouble for all the time in school. And
exactly.
now I know, oh, actually, that works.
Hmm.
And I can correlate it that way.
Yeah.
So,
I'm older than you, but our generation, mental health was not a thing unless it was you were crazy. And so ADD.
yep.
literally, it was not brought to my attention until about 3 years ago. But it was like, oh, duh, of course. And the part you mentioned about the focus, yeah, if I'm doing multiple things, it's better. If I'm trying to focus in on one thing, I'm so easily pulled in different directions.
Well, it's interesting to me too, because I have so many conversations about this with people. The first suggestion is always medication. Well, with an
Hmm.
addiction history, you try not to take
Yep,
medication, especially something that you have a propensity for maybe using too much of. And
exactly.
so I've had to find all these ways to work with my brain type
Hmm.
without the pills, which has created some really, and when you read, and I've read a fair amount on brain type and everything else, when you read, you go, oh, yeah, I figured that out a long time ago. I've been doing that for years because that's just the way it worked for me.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I think that there's still a gap to bridge with, hey, some of this you could probably handle differently and
yeah,
it doesn't need a pill.
yeah. And I think, again, because of our generation not addressing those things, therefore we weren't put on medications, we found those ways and didn't necessarily know it. Like for me, I have ADD. I created or implemented OCD tendencies, which ultimately work very well for me.
Hmm.
I am a very organized individual. And again, when you look back and you read and you see these things, it's like, oh, okay, let's look at what works for me. That's literally my motto as a therapist. What works for the client? Because it's different for everybody. And I appreciate that you bring up the how does my brain work?
I think part of it is you have to understand that some of your worst traits could be used for good, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm really good at doing too much of things. But if I can habituate it and control it, then I can do really good things really consistently.
And where does the assumption of if it's good or bad come from?
Fair point.
Because if you think it's great that I can do a lot of things or too much at once, again, using the phrase too much, according to whom? Who told you that that was too
I
much?
more think the too much in there is too much alcohol. I learned. but but in other things,
Yeah,
right? The ability to
yeah.
run that consistently in that many days and everything else, people will always project whatever they're concerned about with. But what it comes from is if you could drink every day, then you can certainly exercise every day.
Well, and how does it make you feel? Do you feel that it is beneficial for you? Do you
Yeah,
believe that it
100%. And it
is
calms my
helping
brain. Like what I always tell
that?
people, especially the people who just can't understand running, like there is a element of running that allows, like, if you can hit flow state and you can process all the stuff you've been working on, chewing onto the
Hmm.
back, that's when things come out. And I'll come back from a run. I'll be like, that's how we solve this. And I may have been stuck on that for months.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, I will let you do that. I won't be doing it, but I believe that it does work that way. All right, let's see here. At what point do you think you started to figure yourself out?
I mean, to a certain degree, I'm blessed in that I was pretty unapologetically always me, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of it's just not having a filter. I just would say stuff. And I was constantly in trouble as a child for being tactless. My mother to this day could regale you with all the ways that I did not exhibit tact. So I think I always had an element of it, but I think it's a discovery process that goes on for forever. Like if you ask me, have you figured yourself out completely? No. There's still things that some days you're like,
Yeah.
wonder where that comes from. Wonder why that's a thing. But I would say I'm getting closer all the time. I think I stepped into a different element when I really let go of the last of what other people thought, like just
Mm,
stopped caring whatsoever
yeah.
about what they were going to say. And part of that really did come from getting sober because I had a lot of people who were really questioning if you have a problem, I have a problem. So how do you really
Mm,
not have a problem? You just decided this, which was insulting at first, but then I came to realize like it's not about me. And almost
yeah.
nothing is. Almost everything
Yep.
everyone tells you is not about you at all.
And that is hard to wrap your mind around because that's not how we're conditioned to function in society.
No.
We are conditioned to care about, worry about, think about what other people think or what they want.
But I mean, I went down a rabbit hole for a long time. I didn't care what other people thought. And then I worried that was a problem because I didn't care because I was taught that I'm supposed to care. So it became this cycle. And
Uh,
then I finally just realized like people like me much better if I'm just as is.
yeah. That is one of the biggest things I think I have expressed in my own journey with authenticity and then working with others is Authenticity is one, a lifelong journey. Two, it is hard. That being said, the most liberating thing you will experience because you're no longer trying to hide or play a part. You're just you, and whatever happens and however people respond, that's what it is. And it,
Yep.
it tells you a lot. Well, thank you for sharing. This brings us to the wow segment of our program, which is the words of wisdom. I like to ask all of my guests, what words of wisdom do you have? What advice would you like to share with others regarding being your most authentic self?
Read, learn as much as you can,
Mm,
and especially read stuff you don't agree with, right? The
mm,
more you can read opposite opinions, like even if it reaffirms what you already believe to a certain degree, it's still good understanding. Find a hero, preferably fictional. And
mm,
that's a Batman thing, but
mm.
it really comes down to if you focus on people, people are fallible, but a fictional hero can stand the test of time. And it's a guiding light principle. And then I'll leave the third thought would be a Batman quote, which is one of my favorites is all men have limits. They learn what they are and not to exceed them. I ignore mine. And what I've witnessed is so many people put these self-imposed limits. They have these guardrails on their existence. And a lot of times you see somebody push past a limit, which means it was never a limit in the first place.
Mm,
And so find those things,
mm.
test them, push further, right? You build and you grow and keep growing for your lifetime because that it's an adventure, right? It's just fun.
Yeah, love that. And that limits piece, that's a big one. I'm going to use that. That's impressive. Well, what, if any, information would you like to share with our guests in terms of how to find you, socials, information about your collective, any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all over a number of things, all the socials, what have you. Instagram is Evan underscore Batman underscore Rowan. And you can find us on the website, knightfallwealthcollective.com, goes directly to the master website. But I would offer this if anybody just wants a conversation, it doesn't have to have anything to do with professional or Batman or anything else. You just want to have a conversation. I am always open to connect with any other humans seeking to be the best version of themselves. I
Mhm.
don't think there's ever a bad connection. I'm also what I would consider a super connector. So if I talk to someone, there's a very good chance
Yes.
I'm going to have five other people that they need to know. It's how the whole world gets better. It's just creating that community.
I can vouch for that with him, and I'm the same way, so I agree. Thank you again for doing this. I really appreciate
Yes,
you
thank you.
taking the time. Again, Shane Hodges, licensed professional counselor and author of It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. Thank you all for watching. Be yourselves. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again to the Transgender Center of the Rockies for being this season's Authenticity Ambassador. We appreciate all the work you do. Check them out at transgendercenteroftherockies.org.